I'm Heath Drusen, the host and creator of Howl, a podcast about 30 years of wolf reintroduction in the Rockies. Join me and the Idaho Capital Sun's Clark Corbin for a panel discussion with the people who put wolves back in the West. Clark and I will also talk about our 1,000-mile journey through wolf country, tracking the history of reintroduction. The event is June 17th at 6 p.m. at the Boise State University Special Events Center. It's free and open to the public.
From Boise State Public Radio, this is The Connector, Idaho's daily news. Good morning, I'm James Dawson. It's Monday, June 2nd, and here are today's headlines. Patients in Idaho will now have to show proof of, quote, lawful presence in the U.S. to receive state-funded care. But what about those who have legal status? Citizens, green card holders, and asylum seekers, but don't have the paperwork readily available. Julie Lucetta has more.
Signed into law in April, HB 135 prohibits Idaho state funds from being used to provide benefits to people who are not in the country legally. Speaking at the Central District Health Board meeting that month, Director Russ Duke said checking people's IDs, including the required Social Security card for citizens, will be challenging.
When we go out and we provide TB medications to a person who is currently unhoused because they have active TB, if they don't have a Social Security card, we will no longer potentially be able to treat that individual.
Tuberculosis can require months of antibiotics and can be extremely contagious without treatment. According to the Centers for Disease Control, rates of TB are 10 times higher among unhoused folks.
So that's an example of why this law could be concerning, at least from a public health perspective.
For those experiencing homelessness, holding on to paperwork can be difficult. Cards, wallets, and small items are often lost or stolen on the streets, and it can take a while to get new documents. Beth Bolin from the CDH's Clinic Services says the district is unsure how many people won't be able to receive services anymore.
Or if it's going to be because they have undocumented status versus they're unable to produce the documents that we need.
Bolin says the district is consulting with lawyers to make sure they comply with the law, but they still have a lot of questions before it goes into effect in July. From July last year to this April, the CDH provided a wide set of vaccines at no cost to 670 under or uninsured adults. Julie Lucetta, Boise State Public Radio News.
A new analysis shows that if houses are rebuilt to fire-safe standards in the wake of disasters, it could save communities billions of dollars. Total losses from the Los Angeles fires earlier this year are expected to exceed $100 billion. Patty Hernandez, director of Montana-based Headwaters Economics, says that some $43 billion in losses could be prevented if all the homes destroyed in that tragedy were rebuilt to fire-safe standards. But she says that requires significant reforms, mandatory building codes, regulations that require insurance coverage of required upgrades, and financial support for improvements.
The economic case is so fundamentally clear. We're talking about avoiding many billions of dollars of future economic losses.
She hopes that reality helps build the political will elsewhere in the West to take on what she acknowledges are hard steps. In March, an Idaho bill was signed into law that would force Medicaid expansion recipients confirm they work, study, or care for family members at least 80 hours each month. But that requirement would need federal approval. Now, a tax bill in Congress could enact similar changes on a national scale. Jamie Geary reports on what that could mean for Idaho.
If approved by the feds, Idahoans enrolling in Medicaid expansion between age 19 and 64 would need to prove they work an average of 20 hours per week. Luke Mayville is the co-founder of Reclaim Idaho, the group that campaigned to expand Medicaid in the state. He says the stipulation would make subsidized health care more complicated for everyone.
That's not how we want our government to work. We don't want to force people to jump through all kinds of bureaucratic barriers just to receive basic services.
Republican State Senator Julie Van Orden from Bingham County sponsored the proposed work requirements. She says it would reduce state spending.
I knew that our Medicaid bill in our state was increasing a lot, and it was harder and harder to get that budget bill through. And so I knew we needed to address something there too.
The One Big Beautiful Bill Act also calls for age restrictions and work requirements of 80 hours per month to receive any form of Medicaid. The U.S. House passed it by one vote, but it still needs Senate approval. Jamie Geary, Boise State Public Radio News.
As temperatures warm up, Idahoans are ripping the covers off their motorcycles. But state troopers are warning against the illegal practice of lane splitting, which is when motorcyclists weave between vehicles and traffic. Lane splitting is outlawed in every state except for California. Idaho State Police say there's been an increase in aggressive motorcycle riding this year. The Idaho Press reports there were 13 fatal motorcycle crashes last year, with 295 injury crashes. Of those, 62 injury crashes were in Ada County with 0 fatalities. And law enforcement has found the body of a man reported missing since last Wednesday on the Lochsaw River. The Idaho County Sheriff's Office says the search team found the body of 68-year-old Robert Jeffrey Howe from Montana Sunday afternoon, about 2 miles downriver from where he was last seen. A 911 call advised deputies Howe had possibly drowned near the Wilderness Gateway campground about 50 miles northeast of Kuski. Sheriff's deputies, Forest Service staff, diving and rafting teams, along with Howe's family members participated in the search. And that's today's episode of The Connector. I'm James Dawson, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. To stay in touch with the news between now and then, check out BoiseStatePublicRadio.org or download the free Boise State Public Radio app. Thanks for listening.